Every time I see the data on what percentage of Americans actually favor Trump's deportation policies, I get a stark reminder that the vast majority of Americans are absolute fools who can be easily convinced to hate some scapegoat they've been told is the fault of all of their problems. And the more problems you can bundle together as somehow magically all being the fault of one group simply existing, daring to share air with you, the better they can do at convincing people to vote for them on the grounds that they're the only party looking to deal with that problematic group of people. And right now, and it has not always been this group, but right now, it's immigrants. The vast majority of Americans, for some reason, agree, or up until very recently, I should say, agreed with Trump's policy on immigration. They believed that what they perceived as skyrocketing crime rates, we don't actually have skyrocketing crime rates. Crime rates in America have actually been on a consistent downward trend for a very long time, with the exception of a few years during COVID, in which they have since continued to drop, and I believe this year is currently on track to have the lowest crime ever in American history. However, funnily enough, if you poll Americans and you ask them, they will tell you that they believe this year is on track to be the highest crime year in American history. I shit you not. Look up the rate at which crime happens in America and get a graph brought up, and then bring up a graph of the rate at which people believe that crime is a problem in America. As crime gets to be less of a real problem, people report that they consider it a bigger danger and a problem that they are more concerned about and will even vote based on. And that right there tells you exactly what you need to know, which is Americans do not look at any data. They don't have a very good barometer for what's going on in America politically right now. They don't know what policies are going through. They don't know what effect those policies are having on the country. They believe whatever they're told by their choice of media outlet. And in this case, we've seen Americans just cheer and shout and celebrate the idea of mass deportations, which, as we know, Americans don't exactly cheer for things that are good for them, and they don't exactly boo things that are bad for them every time. And this is one of those cases. Americans refuse to accept that immigration is largely really good for this country. And they've been told if we just get rid of the immigrants, it's a convenient lie, but if we just get rid of the immigrants, then all our problems will be solved. And they want it so badly to be true, they refuse to hear any argument that says it's not that easy, these problems are systemic, widespread, and have to be tackled with real solutions that aren't going to be all that exciting to talk about. Once you get that across, as particularly a Democrat, you lose elections. And that's why the Republicans have gotten away with what they have for so long. And that's led us to here, where ICE is hosting raids all across the country. Not World of Warcraft raids, by the way, not the fun kind where you and your boys get together and you take down a big monster and get some loot at the end. The kind where a bunch of guys with guns kick down doors and put, families at gunpoint, arrest them, and then shove them in the back of vans to be deported to, and nowadays it seems Uganda. Even if you're from, somewhere in Central or South America, and you illegally immigrate to America, or you're a kid and your parents take you to America and illegally immigrate, you might get deported, with or without your family, to fucking Uganda. That's where Trump has been sending South American immigrants to as of late. Uganda. In Africa. Kind of fucking insane, and kind of fucking evil, to say the least. And just today, we've seen one of the largest ICE raids take place with not a lot of outcry of outrage, really, from the American people. People are, if they're talking about this, they're celebrating it. And so I want to get into this story because it is genuinely terrifying and a very good showcase of the fact that it's happening. They are really ramping this up, and in the coming months, we're going to see a substantial effect on America's economy and everything else that you could possibly measure due to the loss of any immigrants in our workforce and in our population. It is getting pretty bad. Massive ICE raid at Hyundai site leaves 475 detained in Georgia. This happened just today. Literally 6 hours ago this happened. It is fresh off the presses news. Now, if you're enjoying this video so far and you want to help to support it and boost it in the algorithm so that conservative content doesn't end up choking it out like it always tends to, then please consider leaving a like and a comment down below. If we can get 1,000 likes and 500 comments in this video in 24 hours, YouTube's algorithm will love it. And they'll boost this channel out to a lot more people. It really does help when you guys do that, so please consider it. It means a lot to me, and I really appreciate it. But with all that said, let's get right into this video.
Welcome back to CBS News 24/7. Federal immigration agents detained more than 450 people at a Hyundai manufacturing site just west of Savannah, Georgia. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco.
I can't wait for all the conservatives to be like, ah, yes, finally. Those immigrants were taking our jobs. Now we can finally work these jobs in the Hyundai factory. It's like, I love the memes that Chinese people have been making, like the AI-generated videos where it's just a bunch of, like, stereotypical, like, overweight Americans, like, sewing clothing and assembling cars in a assembly line, and it's like, this is the future that you guys voted for. And it's true, because Americans do not even, at any rate, they will not agree to work certain types of jobs. And that is why so much of this work has had to be outsourced, because you literally cannot find enough labor in America to fill the positions and get the actual work done. And now without those, like people are going to be like, oh my god, look how many jobs are available now. But no, Americans are just going to refuse to take this job at too high of a rate, and they're not going to have the people necessary to get the job done. You know, like, production is going to be hit by a lack of employees being available. And conservatives love to pretend like there's some, like, infinite amount of work-seeking people out there. Like, people out there always looking for work, any job, anything they can get a paycheck from, and they're just getting denied because these people are hiring immigrants instead. Like, so many Americans are convinced that's the case, and it's just not.
Tobacco, firearms, and explosives said multiple agencies helped carry out this operation. Authorities claim it was connected to an investigation over unlawful employment practices. The 3,000-acre site has only been operational for a year. Let's go live now to CBS News immigration and politics reporter Camilo Montoya Galvez. Camilo, thank you for your time today. This raid happened at one of Georgia's largest and most high-profile manufacturing sites. So what does it tell you about the strategy of ICE when it comes to immigration?
Good morning, Mungo. Officials say that according to the Department of Homeland Security, nearly 500 people suspected of working and living in the U.S. illegally were detained during this operation, which officials say could be the largest single-site operation ever conducted in the history of Homeland Security investigations, a branch of the Department of Homeland Security that deals with labor trafficking and other immigration-related crimes. According to officials, multiple agencies were involved in this operation, including Border Patrol, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the ATF, the IRS, the FBI, and also the DEA. That really underscores.
Can we talk about the sundown towns begging the government to help them? Oh, good thing to bring up, Lord Rose 97. This is actually a good point. Keep in mind, the most conservative rural towns that tend to be the most conservative, right-wing, MAGA, whatever, they are the ones who require the most investment from the state and federal government to keep their communities functional. Like, the rural America is such a welfare sink for the U.S. federal government. They are also the #1 source of accusations that minorities are welfare sinks. They are the #1 source of criticisms of the welfare state as well. Meanwhile, they are the #1 consumers of welfare. It goes to show that, like, the demographic of people that are known for supporting Trump in this country are genuinely the worst of the worst. Because not only are they, it's not just that they're in a bad situation, it's that they use their bad situation as justification to try and put people in a worse situation into an even worse situation. It's like, it's a kind of evil that I feel it is hard to put into words.
Mugo, the government-wide nature of the Trump administration's crackdown on illegal immigration. Most of the detainees, according to officials, are nationals of Korea. Let's take a listen to how one ICE official described the operation.
This was not a immigration operation where agents went into the premises, rounded up folks, and put them on buses. This has been a multi-month criminal investigation where we have developed evidence, conducted interviews, gathered documents, and presented that evidence to the court in order to obtain a judicial search warrant.
So they're trying to claim, I guess, that Hyundai was enslaving them, and so raiding and deporting these people was saving them from essentially slavery. This has been a common pro-deportation talking point for a while. They'll argue, immigrants hurt the economy and they bring crime. You disprove that. You point out, actually, they help the economy and they commit less crime. And they say, oh, wow. So you're willing to be okay with corporations forcing these Hispanic immigrants, primarily, to work low-skill, menial labor and be mistreated and overworked and paid with little benefits, basically as slaves, just because it makes the economy better. Not very woke, huh? And next thing you know, they try to make the argument either, if you're anti-slavery, you're pro-deportation, but if you're anti-deportation, you're pro-slavery. They try to make that the basis of the conversation, when in reality, they're the ones here arguing that immigrants should be forcibly, violently removed from the country at gunpoint against their will. You're arguing they shouldn't be, and they're trying to pretend like somehow they're the compassionate ones thinking for what's best for these people. It's just, it's nonsense. They're just trying to gaslight you as they argue for evil. Bro, why didn't YouTube notify me? I might do a segment about it tomorrow. A lot of YouTubers have started to, I guess, realize that it's a big problem, and it's happening to a lot of creators, because I've seen a good handful of creators making videos about it. But ever since August 13th, like, every YouTuber, period, has seen like a 40% drop in viewership, and it's not like a loss in people watching YouTube or anything like that. It's just straight up like, since the recent Gemini AI algorithm update for YouTube, where now the algorithm is based off of the Gemini Google AI, they also force it on you when you try to make Google searches. If you've like tried to search something and asked, do you want to go into AI mode? They did it to Google as well, not just YouTube. But ever since that update, like, every YouTube channel across the board has seen like a 40 to 30% drop in viewership. And like I said, it's not like the audiences are getting less interested. It's that YouTube's algorithm is distinctly not pushing the content to your subscribers. And this is not just a me thing. It's an every YouTuber thing right now, and has been since August 13th, when the AI update hit the algorithm, where like every creator has just seen a substantial drop. And notably, just like what Waylon just said, every creator has seen a substantial spike in their fans who can find their new videos, commenting, why didn't I get notified you uploaded? Why didn't I get a notification you uploaded? Why didn't this show up in my recommended? Why didn't this show up on my homepage? Why didn't this show up in my sub box? I've been seeing it more than ever. At first, I thought it was just my channel. Then, like, the last few days, like, I think 8 or 9 big YouTubers. I saw Linus Tech Tips just put out a video this morning about it. The Linus Tech Tips channel has seen a 40% view drop overnight since August 13th, just as every other channel has. Dark Viper AU, for all his problems, he made a video on it. So yeah, if you're wondering, like, Zan, why am I not getting your videos in my recommended? It's not my fault. It's not your fault. YouTube is killing every channel right now. It's not even me specific. I'm not getting shadow banned. I'm not getting deboosted, or I'm not getting any more or less of a fair shake than anyone else right now, every YouTuber is getting fucking destroyed right now by this new algorithm update. And I mean across every niche, large and small, it's like the same proportion loss in viewership for everybody. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff. Little off topic here, but someone in chat asked, so I thought I'd let you all know. If you have noticed my videos not showing up in your recommended, that's why.
Yesterday, we executed that search warrant and gathered additional evidence that will support this investigation. There are no criminal charges being announced today, but this is an ongoing matter.
And Muga, we should underscore that the Trump administration, since the president took office for a second time, has already conducted several large-scale immigration enforcement operations at work sites across the country, including at a meatpacking plant in Nebraska and a horse racetrack in Louisiana.
And Camilo, Hyundai is a South Korean company, so any response so far from the Korean government about this?
Yes, indeed, Mugo. A spokesperson for the South Korean government said in part, and I quote, "The economic activities of our companies investing in the U.S. and the rights and interests of our nationals must not be unfairly violated." So clearly, the government of South Korea wants the U.S. to respect the due process rights and the legal rights of the people from their country who are now facing deportation. We are told by officials, Mugo, that most of those detainees have been moved to a detention center in Georgia, where they are being processed for deportation.
Like, we know where they're getting deported to, by the way. Trump has been doing all the deportations for the last couple weeks to Uganda. Like, there's gonna have to be some kind of legal consequences, right? Like, Trump gets out of office somehow if he's still alive. Like, are these families gonna be able to press charges against Trump for, like, using his power as president to banish them across the planet from their country of origin? Like, is that going to be allowed? Because we're talking, like, if a Mexican immigrant illegally comes into America, they're getting shipped off to Uganda. They're getting sent to fucking Africa, bro. How do you get back? Are you just a stranded non-citizen in Africa now? Is that what all these people have waiting for them now that they've been, like, deported? Like, there's got to be some kind of consequence when there are literally tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people stranded in another country with no citizenship and nowhere to go, and you're the guy solely responsible. Like, you're the guy who gave the order to do that. And to be clear here, it's just that, like, Uganda has, like, a joke of a government here, like, completely, beholden to Trump and cucked out to him, and isn't taken all that seriously on the world stage compared to, say, like, France or, like, Ukraine or Russia or something. And so because of that, it just seems like they gave Trump the okay to just start sending massive freighter planes of people to the country to be dropped off in detention facilities on their soil. They're just cool with it. They're just like, yeah, all good. Yeah, fuck it. Sure, Trump. Yeah. It's insane.
Camilo, I want to pivot to some of your own original reporting. A Navy base in Chicago could be used to accommodate federal agents ahead of a possible federal deployment. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, Muga, we obtained an internal Department of Homeland Security memo that shows the Trump administration asked the Secretary of Defense to allow a naval base in Illinois to be used as a staging area of sorts for a large-scale immigration operation campaign in the Chicago area in the coming days and weeks. We are told by Homeland Security officials that some Border Patrol and ICE agents have begun moving into this facility known as the Great Lakes Naval Station, about an hour north of Chicago, as well as equipment that is staging there is also arriving to that base. And we are told that these operations in Chicago could start as soon as today and this week.
Now, this ties into what's going on with Chicago. I don't know if you guys have been watching or have you seen my segments on it or you followed the news, but Trump is trying to argue that Chicago, after a mass shooting spree that happened a couple days ago, is in such a state of criminal duress that whether the state or the city leaders want it or not, that Trump will be sending the National Guard there to occupy the city. Full on, like the roving death squads and all that. Basically, he wants to do what he did in DC and Chicago now, and he says he's doing it whether the city leadership wants it or not. He's doing this whole, the people of Chicago want the crime to stop. They need it to stop, and the Democrats who lead it won't do what's necessary, but I will, even if they want to stop me. So he's trying to do this as like a anti-crime, tough-on-crime populist move to win over, I guess, like Chicago city voters to his side. So if you're wondering, that's the story behind what they just referenced.
Weekend, this is part, of course, of a broader Trump administration effort to really crack down on so-called sanctuary cities by sending more manpower and resources to target people who are suspected of being in the country illegally. The administration, as you know, is also targeting these cities with lawsuits and threats to withhold federal funding, Mugo.
Camila Montoya Galvez, as always.
Well, there you go, folks. It looks like the detentions and the raids are getting more common. They're getting larger scale. And they're getting to be targeted at work sites and people who are actively working important jobs. Who remembers when Trump said, we'll start by deporting the criminals, and then we move on from there? Who remembers when he said all that? Because I think that's very clear. I think it's obvious what he meant by that. That the plan has never been to just focus on the criminals and those who come to this country to do harmful things, illegal or legal, being here or not. The focus is not people coming here to do bad things. It's the focus is we start by getting rid of the people here to do bad things, so it looks bad to call out what we're doing, and then we move on from there to getting all the other immigrants. And by that point, you know, people, it's already too late to stop it. And I think that's the clever thing, and that they did go after the criminals, then who they called criminals, but weren't really, you know, your Kilmar Abrego Garcia type people. And now we're just like, we're raiding job sites. We're raiding Home Depot parking lots. We're raiding restaurant kitchens. You know, we're looking everywhere for every last Latino we can find to deport. That's what's happening. This country is going to be hit by this like a semi-truck. We rely so heavily on immigrant labor for so many things, notably when it comes to food. Not to mention, simultaneously, we're tariffing every foreign export that ends up on American store shelves. That includes all our produce. So simultaneously, American produce is about to see a great big labor shortage in the tending and harvesting of said produce, meaning that a ton of it's going to rot on the vine and on the stem, it's going to rot in the fields, and it's not going to end up on store shelves in the first place. Due to said labor shortage, the actual product produced is going to see a notable decrease in supply. Demand will either stay the same, or maybe it'll rise in the panic, and that'll of course lead to a rise in price for the natively produced things that we make in America or grow in America, which are supposed to be the cheap alternative we're supposed to rely on, with Trump's horrific tariff policy making everything else more expensive. It's psychotic, guys. The consequences are going to be serious, and I really hope that this all comes falling back down on Trump hard. It's the only way that this can end at this point, right? Like, it's all got to backfire on him 100 times harder than you would ever think, right? Like, he uses all these horrible things he's done and plans to do and benefits from it. I feel like this has all got to end with it all blowing up in his face 100 times worse. Anyway, folks, if you enjoyed this segment, if you found it enjoyable, educational, or entertaining in any way, then like I said before, consider leaving a like and a comment. If we can hit 1,000 likes and 500 comments in the first 24 hours, it will be huge for the YouTube algorithm to push it out to more people, especially with, like I mentioned before, that weird update with the AI, Gemini, Google AI that they integrated into the algorithm back on August 13th. Really does help if you guys leave likes and comments. It seems like that's what the AI that the algorithm uses now bases a successful video off of, so I really appreciate it. And of course, if you want to see more from me in the future, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos. And if you want to see more from me on other platforms, be sure to follow my social medias linked down below in the description, particularly my fan Discord, as that is the main hub of my fan base and community. I actually host weekly gaming events, call-in streams, or watch parties or movie nights there every week, on Fridays, including this one. So tonight, we're going to be doing a watch party after stream, watching the new South Park, and maybe, I don't know, we might watch something else after that. We'll see. It could be a good time. And of course, if you guys are down for that and it sounds fun, links down below. I hope to see you there. You won't regret it if you join. And finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support me, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, have a good one.